My name is Zena, and I will be sharing with you my youth reflection today. Every afternoon, my father comes and picks me up from school. This has become a routine late into my junior year because of my persistence to procrastinate getting my permit until the last possible minute of my sophomore year. And every afternoon, my dad asks the standard, "How was your day?" question, which is usually followed by a casual fine or a pretty good from me in the passenger seat. But one day after being asked this question, I had more to say than usual. On this day, I decided to elaborate on something that had happened in my third period English class. A boy and a girl got in an argument in my class, I said. I then started to explain how this boy was known in our school, and not necessarily for positive attributes. He was rumored to stir the pot in certain class discussions that turned heated, and was also rumored to be racist. This led to my explanation of his opposing side on this particular day in my class. It was a girl I've known since freshman year and had been in multiple classes with. The exact topic of the argument I'm still unclear about, but I do remember that it led them both to administrators' offices in the following days, and was centered around race and how the girl felt the boy was abusing his white privilege. As I explained more and more about the argument, I find myself getting angry at the fact that this boy was once again seemingly stirring the pot of racial tensions that are often felt in my very diverse school already. As I elaborated more on the story, I found myself straying from the actual argument and focusing more on my anger that this white boy was using his advantages in every way he could. I wasn't angry anymore. I was furious. After my anger-riddled speech to my dad had finally ended, I looked over to get confirmation for what I was feeling and expressing to him, but instead, I found my dad giggling to himself. I paused and with a confused and probably annoyed look on my face, asked, "What?" He then answered with something that has stuck in my head ever since this day. He said, "You don't suffer fools very well." I took this as a compliment. Of course I didn't suffer fools well. What right did they have to be foolish? But as we talked more, I realized that I really didn't suffer fools well, and it wasn't something I was proud of. My tolerance for what I believed to be blatant ignorant behavior had gotten increasingly worse in my high school years. When I heard that we had chosen racial injustice as our focus for youth-led worship, automatically my mind went to, how can we fix other people? How can we convey a way to fix our opposing sides and get them on our side, on the right side? However, as I looked over the story of the woman at the well and searched for how to further connect it to our topic of racial injustice, it dawned on me. I had to find my reflection in everyone around me. The water is so symbolic within this story because it represents life, it represents oneness, and it represents reflected love. When this became apparent to me, I thought back to that boy in my third period English class, and it started to ask myself, who was this boy? I mean, who was he really? Not what did the rumors say of him, not what did peers say of him, but who was he within myself? What part of him did I categorize as foolish that I didn't like in myself? And when I looked, I saw not hate or evilness, nor envy, but fear. Fear of not fitting in, fear of being ridiculed, and fear of straying from oneness. That inherent part in all of us that desperately wants to be a part of the group, that desperately wants to fit in. Race can be divisive, but rather than seeing it as separating, it should be seen as a beautiful thing that reflects facets of the human experience so remarkable and uniting, it almost takes your breath away. Sorry. It's a topic that some are afraid of, but I say, meet that fear with love. Meet opposition with unapologetic, pure love, and in return, you will feel it. In all of us is both the Samaritan woman and Jesus. In all of us is the uncertain and ostracized, but in each of us is also a loving and caring spirit that seeks to include and cradle everyone. Suffer fools gladly. Suffer fools with a gentle hand and a kind heart, because change and freedom from injustice comes not from casting aside and dismissing the supposed other. It comes from realization that we are all one, one body, one spirit, and one heart. From the boy in my English class, to your fellow church member, to your neighbor, to the stranger, each of us is reflected in the other. And in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that.
Amen.